Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. And today we're doing the pre-video to the video. And what I mean by that is, if you remember, in the last episode, I said we had a little surprise for everybody. And if you're familiar with the Quad 4, this will be a very pleasant surprise. Today, I wanted to show you the surprise, and that is the stud kit for the cam towers. You can see I already have the intake cam on, and you install the studs, and this torques down quite nicely. It does take a little bit of time, but it went really smooth. Now this stud kit came from a guy who's he's part of the Quad 4 community. He was big on the Quad 4 forums back whenever that site was up, and you can find him floating around on Facebook. I can't remember his name, but I will be putting a link in the description to his website, where you can buy a few of the more popular aftermarket items for the Quad 4. And what he did is he came up with a stud kit here, and the kit consists of 20 studs. You can buy just one side. You can buy a set of 10, which does one cam tower. And I got the 20 stud set, so we're going to do both, of course. And I've already got 9 of them in on this side. We're going to put the last one in. We're going to show you just how easy it is to do and everything. I have the motor tilted over here so you can see it a little bit better. And so without further ado, let's get started. So we'll try and show you how all this works. Now, let me get this situated here. Sorry for the shaky cam. I don't like the shaky cam, but there we go. Okay, so the kit comes... first, it's packaged really well. The kit comes with either 10 or 20 of the studs, and also 2 lock washers, or two lock nuts. All right. So what we do is, if you're familiar with mechanical things like this, where you want to put a stud in, you can lock these together, and everything's metric, which is nice. You know, you're working on a motor where everything's metric, so you don't have to grab any SAE wrenches to do this. And I'm going to lock this in here, and then go here with this one. I'm going to put that on, and we don't have to tighten it real tight, just got to snug it. And that locks the 2 nuts together, so they won't walk down this shaft as we're trying to install this. And I don't know, maybe you could put some Loctite on the bottom of these. I really don't think it's necessary, but if you're familiar with the cam towers, if you've rebuilt one of these motors before, you'll know that these cam tower bolts, they tend to strip out. You have the steel bolt going into the aluminum head, and if you tighten them down to what the manual says, you'll probably pull the threads out. And one of the reasons is the threads, even though it's threaded all the way down, the bolt only bites into the top portion of the threads, and it's just not enough. It's just not enough strength for the torque specifications from the factory. So all we got to do is place our stud in there and get it started. There we go. It looks like it's pretty straight there. And we just take our wrench, just turn it in. Some of these were loose enough where I just turned them in by hand, and then I took the wrench and just kind of turned them in a little bit more. I'm not tightening them down to the bottom and really cranking on them. You know, just go down to where it stops, and that should be good enough. So just go like that, and so that's starting to tighten up a little bit. And I'm not going to push that because I don't want to distort the head here. You know, basically as soon as I feel it starting to tighten up, I'm not going to get on there and really crank on that or try and turn it any further. Now to take this off, we have a ratcheting wrench. This one here doesn't have the little lever where it can switch directions. You actually just turn it over. So we put it on off and just hold on to it here and just break that free, and these will come off nice and easy. Okay, and let me make sure we don't drop it. There we go. Okay, now next thing I wanted to show you, let me see my reach here, is the gasket here. Now these gaskets, I don't know what they're coated with. It looks like some kind of graphite or something. But I reuse these gaskets, but and I have seen these leak, but I reuse them. And the reason I do is because the gasket sets for these motors are crazy expensive, and pretty much reuse all the gaskets except for the head gasket. You can't reuse the head gasket. That's a given. So we got this thing going on now. I reuse these, but there's a caveat that goes along with that, and that is I coat the gasket surface with a sealant. I use the E14 Permatex. It's just a brush-on deal, and I wanted to show you that here real quick. I'm going to set that down and grab a piece of cardboard here, and we're going to turn the camera around and place that like that. And we'll get you set up here, and you can watch me do this. It's not a whole lot of science involved. We just grab hold of this here. There we go. All right, not a whole lot of science involved. Toss it down. We take the E14 Permatex here, and we apply. Now, the thing you have to remember about this is, it really doesn't take very much at all. I mean, just the thinnest coat. As you first start putting it on, it's going to go on a little thick, but you just brush it out. All right, there we go. You brush it out. It really doesn't have to be very thick at all. Just a little bit will do what we need to do. We need it to do. We're just going to coat the whole surface. And really, whenever you're done, you should be able to see through it. You should be able to see the gasket through it. It shouldn't be globbed up like you're trying to paint it, like you're trying to cover it up and everything. You don't need to go that far. And the reason you want to stay away from putting it on that thick is whenever you tighten this down, the excess will squeeze out, and it doesn't really make too much of a mess, but you see this line where the gasket was, and it just doesn't look very nice. And we want it to look nice, you know, not like we're some kind of hack, you know, trying to just goober something together. So we are on a very tight budget with this, so this is what we're doing. And I think this is probably the second time I've reused these. You can reuse them a couple times as long as you seal them like this. But after that, the coating on the outside starts to flake off, and I'm not willing to risk putting it together and then have it leak, and then you know, you smell oil, and you're always thinking, you know, is that just the cam cover, or is that you know, something else, something more dire? And then you got to go out and look at it, or worse yet, if it started leaking real bad and you ended up with smoke underneath the hood, you know, that's not good for your street cred. So here we go. So we got the gasket coated. Set that up there. And now I will tell you, whenever we put this on here, we'll rotate you around again here. This is a tight fit. With these studs in here, this thing, it is tight. And there is only one way that this will go on correctly. And it is this way. All right. So we have the hole where the oil, right down here, where the oil feeds the cam tower up here. And that's located over there on the head. And we have this shape here, this little shape here, and we match that up with this shape here. So let's see if we can get this on here. And nice and smooth. And because the studs are so tall, you just have to kind of work your way across, doing a little bit at a time. And believe me, it'll never come out of place with these on. And I went ahead and did the intake cam. There's no sense in showing you both of them or anything like that. I did the intake cam. That way, if there's anything to look out for or anything like that, I would catch that as we or as I put the intake cam on, and then I could share that with you with this video. But other than it being really tight and snug to get down on there, there's really no caveats with this. I mean, it's just, you just take your time. all the way down. Come on now, there we go. And you can tell it'll slide down whenever it's not bound up. When you start getting it where it's in there at an angle, then it starts getting bound up a little bit. So there's a couple little locating pins for this gasket from the factory. Of course, these studs, you really don't need those, but it does locate the gasket, or help you locate the gasket, I guess. And we got all the way down. All right, so that's bottomed out. So that's what we're looking for. Now, at this point, these gloves I've been wearing, these have gasket sealant all over them, so they got to go. They have to go. All right, so next step, we're going to slide the cam tower on the bottom portion. So what we do is we take, I have some lubriplate here. This stuff here, been assembling motors with this stuff for decades, and it's never let me down. So I like to put this on right here where the lifter's going to touch the top of the valve. And I like it because it doesn't drip off, and that makes a good video, so it would be a little bit silly for me to do it. And you really probably don't even need that much. I'm just throwing a little bit on there. And this stuff, it is sticky. It kind of looks like lithium grease, but I don't think it's lithium grease. It's something else. But this stuff's been around for a long, long time. And so there we go. All right. Now, next step is to slide the cam tower on. And I'm going to switch sides here. See if we can do this here. One smooth motion. So we have to know which is front and which is back. And this is the timing chain side here. The back side has this little extra groove in it. So we're going to slide this down on. And just going to bump that on. Slide that down on the studs like that. And there we go. And that's that. Okay. You can see this is where our lifters go, and then our cam's going to set in there. Let me switch sides again. And we're going to set our motor upright. And it's getting a little top heavy now that I have the head on it. A little rotate there. Oh, there we go. Okay, so. Alright. And from there, we can go ahead and put the lifters in and the cam and tighten it down. And because this video is getting a little long, we're already at almost 13 minutes, about 13 minutes. We're going to stop here, and in the next video I'll show you, we'll install all the lifters and put the cover on the cam tower. Thanks for watching, guys. The like and subscribe button is right over there, and if you want to hit that, I would appreciate it. Thanks. See you in the next video.